Hey everybody, Casey Lee here from BiteSite, and we're here today to give you a behind-the-scenes discussion about one of our biggest projects yet. So about a month ago, we wrapped up one of our biggest projects yet, and that project was the LSpark 2017 Cohort video. And there was a lot of moving parts and a lot of stuff that we're proud of and stuff that we think that other people could benefit from. So we thought we'd give you a behind-the-scenes look at all the things that we did to make this project happen. Now, there is a lot to get through, so let's get started. Okay, before we get into the behind the scenes of how we put this thing together, let me give you a little bit of background about what this video actually is. So this video is for a company called LSpark. So LSpark is a company based in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, that runs an accelerator program for SaaS companies. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it, you can Google LSpark and see what they're all about. So the way that LSpark works is they actually run a program every year. So they accept a bunch of companies, put them through their program, and then the program ends every year. Now at the end of every year, they do a whole bunch of things, but one of the things they do is their grad video. So we put together a video that celebrates their successes and gives them highlights as they went through the program. So we've been doing this for 3 years straight, and every year, the grad video has been our biggest and best video we put together. So every year we try to up the stakes, every year we try to do something different, something a bit bigger, something a bit more ambitious, and this year was no different. So that is what the video is all about. So a couple key players in this production. There was myself, Casey Lee, running the film team. We had our another key filmmaker, Tim Clark, who was doing a lot of the work here. And then two main people from LSpark, Jamie Petton and Lucy Scrency. So these people were in charge of LSpark's marketing team. And these were the key players in this production. So it all started back in February of 2017. And the way we started is we had weekly meetings with LSpark. So it was all the four of us sitting around, figuring out exactly what this video was going to be. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the concept. Okay, so in the past, we had done very typical talking head documentary mixed with B-roll stuff. So if you look at our very first LSpark Cohort video, again, we just did some interviews and then we shot a bunch of B-roll throughout the year and just stitched the whole thing together. Now in the second year, the main thing that we amped up was a little bit of the pre-production. So we did more work on terms of the pre-interviews, and we amped up the location. The location was kind of this cool, empty office space. And even just the look and feel had a stronger feel to it. So, but the format was actually pretty much similar. So when it came to this year, we decided that we wanted to try something a little bit different. Now what we ended up settling on was a kind of mix between scripted and non-scripted. So what we decided to do was we decided to run scripted visuals, but unscripted audio. So what we would do is we'd interview the candidates, and use the audio from that. But for the visuals, we would actually script all that out and shoot really stylistic shots and try to get some really beautiful shots. And that's what we decided. That's what we settled on. So that concepting process actually took about 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, next thing, let's talk about the script. So when it came to the script, I mean, we're talking about unscripted audio, unscripted interviews. But we still wanted to have a really strong sense of where we were going with these interviews. Any filmmaker will tell you that even unscripted stuff like documentaries, you still write out a script for your ideal answers and it helps you generate the questions. So we decided that we were going to script this thing out. Now, the reality is though, we didn't want to assume what the CEOs were going to say. We didn't want to assume that the people we're interviewing were going to say, oh yeah, this was great or this wasn't great or whatever, right? So we really wanted to get a true sense of what they felt, and we wanted the script to really come from their mouths and their words. So one of the very first things we actually did was created a pre-questionnaire. We just went on Google Forms, created a questionnaire, and sent it out to all the CEOs and gathered a whole bunch of answers. So we gathered all those answers, and that really helped shape our script, right? So this is the kind of pre-production that really helps, where you really do this upfront research, right? And again, we didn't have a lot of time, so this was over the course of about 2 weeks, sent out the questionnaire, got the answers. So the way we crafted the script was literally going through all their answers and taking snippets of all the answers and placing them in kind of a linear script, and that's how we came up with the script. Now, what's interesting is when we actually got to the real interviews, we kind of did a back and forth, right? Because we sent them out a questionnaire, they answered, and then what we did was we formed questions from the ideal answers that we picked to try to get those answers naturally out of them when we got to their interviews. Okay, so after we had the script written down, our next step was our storyboarding. So So Tim actually took a different approach and decided to do an entire previs instead of storyboards. And the way he did his previs was using all stock footage, actually. So we talked about this and we said, yeah, this might actually be a better idea than storyboards. This actually might communicate our ideas better. So what Tim did is he actually went on to, what was the site?
I think it was iStock or Video Blocks.
Anyways, he went onto some site and found all this stock footage, and he stitched it together. And what I did is I recorded the script with my own narration, and we put together this entire previs, put some music to it, and see how the whole thing flowed. And that really helped us visualize this, right? You know, previs is a really good tool you can have to really visualize, to see if the story is going to work, to see if things are going to work. And we actually presented this to the client, so to Jamie and Lucy, and they really liked it and they were really on board, and then we got really excited, and that really helped us plan our shots exactly how we wanted them. So now that the previs was done, the greatest thing is we had a really good idea of how this video was going to come together. So now what we had to do is take the previs and translate that to a shot list. Now the shot list that we put together was actually one of our crowning achievements. It's one of our it sounds kind of stupid, it sounds kind of like, oh, this is just a spreadsheet. But we're really proud of this because we put a lot of thought and a lot of time into this shot list. And this shot list really became almost like our Bible when it came to the shoot day. So our shot list was really just a glorified spreadsheet. We used Google Spreadsheets, and it was about 60 shots, but we had everything in this spreadsheet. We had the person that we were shooting, we had the time slot that we were shooting them in, we had it was interior, exterior, night or day, the camera that we were going to use, the type of shot that it was going to be, the description of the shot, any props that we're going to use, everything you could think of that to describe the shot was in this gigantic spreadsheet. And it really, really helped us out. And we kept adding more and we kept adding more and kept adding more. Now, one of the things that really helped us is we created filters so we could see, you know, all the shots that belong to this CEO, all the shots that belong to this CEO. Because one of the things that happened when we were shooting this this production is we only had each CEO for only 2 hours. You know, on a bigger scripted shoot, you may have, you know, your actors for the full day, you may have your actors or whatever. But for this specific shoot, we actually had each CEO for only 2 hours, which made scheduling actually quite a big challenge. So this spreadsheet really helped us kind of narrow that down. Which brings us to our next topic, which is location. So we actually shot in a couple of locations, all within the downtown Ottawa core. Our biggest location that we shot at actually was the new Andaz Hotel in the Market in Ottawa. We also shot in Major Hills Park. We actually shot in a bunch of kind of public locations around the Market, and then we shot downtown Ottawa as well to get a couple of scenic shots there. Now, one of the things that we pride ourselves at BiteSite is doing things properly, and so this time we actually approached the Ottawa Film Office to get permits. For those who don't know, the Ottawa Film Office is a great resource in the Ottawa area if you're doing any kind of shooting, from small to big shots. I mean, we had a pretty small footprint, we were a pretty small team, but we still went and got permits from them. It was really easy. And this is one thing that really helped us in shooting because we weren't worried about being shut down or anything. We had proper permits to shoot in all these places. Major Hills Park was run by the NCC, and they're very friendly as well. You can just pick up the phone, call NCC, let them know what your filming project is, and I mean, as long as you're reasonable, they'll try to accommodate you, and they were very helpful in that regard. And then Andaz itself was very helpful. So Jamie at Elspark actually had a connection at Andaz, and they were very helpful and accommodating in giving us access to a lot of spaces to shoot in the Andaz Hotel. So those locations were really helpful. Now, one thing we also learned from is actually doing proper location surveys. I mean, this is something in our process, but one of the reasons we're doing this video is so you guys can know what our process is like. And so in the location survey, we did a lot of things, but one of the things that we did not do, and we learned the hard way, is we actually didn't do a test of our wireless lav mics. When we actually got to Andaz, we realized that our wireless frequencies were not working for some reason. We have a feeling they were being interfered by some of maybe their walkie-talkie systems. We're not even sure, but either way, our wireless lavaliers did not work there. So just a testament to doing proper location surveys no matter where you go. Now, another thing about locations is that you have to realize that a lot of people are doing you favors, especially Andaz. You know, Andaz was doing us a favor and letting us shoot in their hotel while they had guests there and they had a lot of stuff going on. So what you have to realize is that locations are doing you favors and things can't always go according to plan. I mean, Andaz is a very busy hotel. They were being sold out, you know, a lot of customers were doing, and their customers come first, so that's totally understandable. So one thing you have to understand though is that sometimes locations that you plan to shoot in, you couldn't shoot in anymore. We also had that issue with weather. You know, in the middle of May, on the first shoot day, it was actually snowing, which actually changed a lot of our locations. So we actually had to come up with a lot of backup locations and a lot of backup plans for that. Okay, so that was a lot of the pre-production. Then we got to the shoot. So a little bit of a summary on the shoot itself. So a total of about 5 shoot days actually to produce this video. Now, something that really helped on the shoot was that, remember that big master shot list that we talked about? We actually created a shot binder from that. And every page had a shot on it with all the details and the blocking and everything we were doing for that shot. The lighting, the gear, everything that we had. Because we only had 2 hours to shoot these 6 shots, which is not a lot of time. So we had to be very, very efficient to shoot these shots. The shoot itself, principal photography, actually went incredibly smooth. For all the pre-production that we did, it really paid off. We were able to run things smoothly, get the shots that we want. We didn't feel overly rushed, and in some cases, we actually felt ahead of schedule, which is very rare, actually. So the shoot went very, very smooth. So a couple more things I want to mention about the actual principal photography and the shoot itself. The first thing I want to say is how thankful I am to the actual CEOs who participated in the shoot. These are very busy people running startup companies. You can talk to anybody who's running a startup company, you'll see how busy they are. And these people spent 2 hours with us doing something as a favor to us to make this video better. So they did a 15-minute interview and they spent 2 hours doing shots with us and acting. I mean, these people are not professional actors and they were really good sports about it. We'd ask them to, you know, pretend they're giving a presentation or pretend to be writing notes or pretend to have a meeting, and they did really good jobs of that. And not only that, I mean, if you're not an actor, sometimes you don't realize how repetitive something can be, you know, and how patient you have to be because it takes a long time to set up a shot. Sometimes you want to do that shot over and over again. And so big thanks to the CEOs who took their time and were really good sports all the way through. We even had a lot of CEOs come from out of town, stay late at night, and it was just overall, it made the shoot so much easier because there were such good sports about it. The last thing I want to mention about the shoot is the actual crew. Okay, so you look at a video like this and you wonder how big the crew is, and the reality is the crew was just 2 people. It was myself and Tim Clark, who works at BiteSite. 2 filmmakers, and that was it. So we set up the lighting, we did the shooting, we did the blocking, we did everything. Now, I do not want to discount the help, though, that we got from Jamie Petton and Lucy Scrency. They almost acted as a little bit of an assistant director, a little bit of a producer. They helped us a lot when we needed help, if there was a last minute change to a location, or if we needed access to certain rooms or whatever. They were so good at just going and dealing with the Andas staff, and helping us out there. So they did a huge help to us to actually getting the shoot done and making things very smoothly. Okay, after the shoot was done, at that point it all goes into the edit bay. So I started the editing process, and the way we did it was we had scripted visuals and unscripted audio. So what happened is when you have scripted visuals, you only have a fixed set of shots you can use, right? Because you only shoot those shots. You don't shoot anything extra, you only shoot those shots. And then when you have unscripted audio, you don't necessarily have that fitting exactly timing right with the video. So that was one of the biggest challenges, is to make all that line up, not to mention adding music to it that had not been picked at that point. And in the early days when I was editing the first couple cuts, I was getting a little bit worried. The cut was kind of working, but it didn't have that oomph factor. Now, like all editing, you keep working your magic, you keep working your magic, you keep adding more, and you take away things, and you go through a review process, and eventually it starts to really shine. We sent our first cut to Elspark, and they gave some good suggestions to cut out certain scenes and to add certain scenes and all this stuff, and then it really, really started to come together. And by the end, we did have a video that we were really proud of that had a really good oomph factor. So that was the edit, and that is not something that we've done new. We've been doing editing for a long time. I've been editing since probably 2000, actually, when I started on my parents' computer, So editing is not something new that we've done. But something new that we've added to our skill set this year is color grading. So color grading is something that we kind of did in the past, but we always did it through Final Cut, which has very limited color grading tools. But this year we learned DaVinci, and because we had a Blackmagic camera shooting in a flat profile, we really wanted to amp up the color grading. This was the part I was looking most forward to, the last stage. So just a couple of highlights on the kind of things we did for color grading. Obviously with Blackmagic flat footage, we definitely pumped up the saturation. We obviously fixed the white balance, we fixed the exposure, kind of the primary grading, that initial grading that you do, just to color correct it. Now to color grade it, we didn't do too much dramatic. We added a little bit of warmth to a lot of the pictures. And then we brought up the shadows a little bit and we desaturated the shadows. And that was pretty much it. We didn't do anything super fancy or super stylistic. We wanted to basically make it look professional, have a nice little filmic look to it. But the greatest thing is we were very happy, again, with the graded footage. And ultimately, the Blackmagic camera really delivered and DaVinci really delivered. For those of you who don't know, DaVinci is an amazing program that you can use that is actually free to download and free to use. I mean, if you're outputting to 4K or if you're doing noise reduction and stuff like that, it's not free. But for the most part, it is free actually, and it's great. So those were all the post-production steps, and then we delivered the video on Monday, and then it premiered on Tuesday night at the SAS Showcase, and we were very happy. A lot of good collaboration, great client, all this stuff is a good testament to, you know, what happens when you work with a great client, you put a lot of work into it, and you let your creative juices flow and you push the boundaries a little bit, and this is the kind of work that you can end up with. So we're very, very proud of this work, and we hope that our productions get even bigger after this. Okay, so I have a list here of the gear that we use, and I'm gonna talk about each thing and how it really helped us out. Okay, first and foremost, the camera. So we talked about that we recently bought a Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera, and we wanted to see if we could use it as an A camera. And we did some tests before the shoot, but this was the shoot. This is the first major production shoot that we used the Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera. Can it be used as an A camera? The answer is yes, it can. We were very, very happy with the results we got from this. Now, there were definitely a lot of issues we had to deal with. No question, the controls are very small. Okay, so Tim was on the camera, and you have to get used to all those really tiny buttons and navigating the menus. It was not something that's very easy to switch. The second thing we had to deal with is we did have to buy a speed booster. Now, it is true that the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera speed booster does fit on the Micro Cinema camera, but it is an incredibly tight fit. You feel like you're grinding the mount, and in fact, after I put it on, I never took it off actually, and I still haven't taken it off. So that was the one thing that we did have to purchase. But the Micro Cinema camera combined with the video assist definitely worked as an A camera for us. And the biggest advantage that we got with this was the picture quality. You know, we had a GH4 at our disposal. We had Nikons at our disposal. We could have rented other things, but we were very happy with the filmic, organic, high dynamic range look that we got from the Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera. The other thing we did have to buy for this camera though were batteries. No question, batteries are not great on this camera. They are better than the Pocket Cinema camera, but you basically get about an hour for every battery that you use on the Micro Cinema camera. Now, don't forget, you have to have a video assist. So we had the video assist, and that has a battery too. So for 1 hour, you're basically running 2 batteries. We ended up buying about 12 batteries actually to use this. We didn't actually ever go through all of them, but we definitely went through at least half of them on most of our shoot days. Yes, the Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera has its faults, but it can be used as an A camera, and we were very happy with the picture results that we got in the end. You may ask us, why didn't we go with a bigger camera, a more expensive camera? The reality is we are a startup. We have to save costs where we can. And the Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera is one of the cheapest ways you can get into the cinema camera market. Okay, the only other camera that we used was the DJI Osmo. So this was for any of our kind of tracking shots. The very opening shot, actually, we used the Osmo on a car mount and drove through the city. So the Osmo, we knew, offered ultra smooth, kind of tracking shots, and we knew it did slow-mo very well, and we knew those were the kind of shots that we wanted to have there. So the Osmo worked really well. The only issue we had with the Osmo mixing with the Micro Cinema camera is that obviously the Micro Cinema camera has high dynamic range, flat profile. Osmo doesn't have that so much. And the other thing is the Osmo image quality is super sharp and super crisp, sometimes too sharp, especially when matching with the Micro Cinema camera. So when we talk about color grading, I'll mention that I actually had to soften the Osmo footage to kind of match the Micro Cinema camera. Now, the other thing I should mention is that there was a third camera that was used in this production, and I believe it was a Canon DSLR. I'm not sure of the specs, but we actually had a team out in the east coast of Canada who couldn't make the shoot in Ottawa, so they actually got their own team to shoot that, and they were able to get a lot of the shots out there, and we were able to use that footage and incorporate it into the actual final edit. Okay, other gear that we used for the audio, we obviously used our trusty Zoom H4n, and this is the old school H4n. This is not the H4n Pro, this is not the F8, F4, whatever. This is actually the original H4n we used, and we were planning to use our Sennheiser wireless lav mics, our G3 mics, but like I said, the wireless frequencies were not working in that hotel. So what we decided to use actually is our backup microphone, which is a very cheap Audio Technica ATR 3350. This is, I believe, a $60 Canadian microphone, and it actually came to our rescue. I didn't even have a windscreen on it. Luckily, we were indoors, and we were able to use that audio. We had to do some EQing in the end, but I mean, you should do that anyways. But it actually came to our rescue and worked just fine. We actually threw it into the 3.5mm jack, did the stereo recording, and we were good to go. Okay, and then other things that we used on the shoot, we used the Ikan Rayden lighting kit. That is our main lighting kit. It is a great all-in-one kit. It's not super cheap, mind you. It ended up being 3,000 American after buying it from B&H Photo and shipping it to Canada and paying duties and everything like that. So it's not super cheap, but I will say it is a very good lighting kit. It is quite bright. It's very portable. It comes with a carrying case and actually serves most of our needs. The other thing that we bought for this shoot actually was a bounce board. Pretty cheap bounce board we bought, I believe online. Yeah, we bought it on Amazon. Quite cheap, and it came very in handy for our outdoor shooting, bouncing a lot of light. You'd be surprised how much a bounce board can add a lot of texture to your shots. And then in terms of grip, we just had we had a tripod, we had a Manfrotto 701 HDV head, and then we had a Canovo slider, 100 centimeters to do a lot of our kind of sliding shots. So that was pretty much it for gear. I mean, we had sandbags, we had obviously, you know, XLR cables and all this stuff like that, but those are the main pieces of gear that we used on the shoot. And again, the biggest thing that we were really happy about was our use of the Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera. All right, so that's it. That is the behind the scenes look at the LSpark 2017 Cohort Grad video. One of the main reasons we did this is we really wanted to give people an insight into our process and how we do things here. And hopefully that knowledge spreads to everybody out there. If you guys have any questions or comments about how we did this, please feel free to leave comments below on the YouTube section, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. The other reason we wanted to make this video is this is one of our productions that we're very proud of, and we want to just, again, celebrate it and tell people that this is what we love doing and this is what we're passionate about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully you guys will give us a lot of feedback, because we really enjoy doing this stuff and we want to do more and more of these YouTube videos. Now, that being said, it's not just BiteSite. There are a lot of players here, and there's a lot of collaborative aspects to this production. And so I want to give a big thanks to the people who helped us out here. Very big thanks to Jamie and Lucy at LSpark, Jamie Patton and Lucy Scrency. These people were there from the beginning all the way through to the end. You know, everything from pre-production to the shoot itself, they were on set, to post-production, they were there throughout the whole thing. So big thanks to them. And not to mention everybody else too, even Pat White, who put us in touch with LSpark, all the CEOs who participated, and as for giving us the location. There's so many people who are part of this production that we really want to thank. It's a real testament to when you put a lot of hard work and you work with great people and you have a good collaborative environment where everybody can execute at their best. This is a real good testament to that. I personally want to send out my thanks to Tim Clark, obviously our filmmaker on BiteSite. He put a lot of effort and work into this and did a lot of stuff that he had never done before. So really happy with the results that we got there. So big thanks to everybody who helped us with this. So that's it. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel. Please give us suggestions on anything else you want to know about, anything else you want to hear. We'd love to make some videos about it. We love this aspect, and hopefully you do too. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.